Paddy Pimblett is in big trouble. I'm sure we've all seen about 600 videos about how his fight against Jared Gordon was a robbery and how he's not really made any improvements in the 4 fights he's had in the UFC so far. I wanted to talk about the lightweight division as a whole, how he matches up against the top 15, some fighters that aren't ranked, and also what's next. We've got some absolute killers who aren't ranked. Guram Kutaladze isn't ranked, Drakkar Klose, Thiago Moises. These 3 fighters are incredible, and in any other organisation I'm sure they'd be a champion. We've even got people like Matt Frivola, who I think would give Paddy big issues. Terence McKinney, he's calling for this fight nearly every day on Twitter. There's even fighters further down on the list like Yoel Alvarez, Ignacio Bahamundes, Vyacheslav Boryshev. All of these guys aren't even nearly ranked and they would give him huge problems. I'm just worried that next time out, Paddy's going to be given a top 15 opponent and he's just not ready. I am a really big fan of Paddy and I want to see him do well. I just do not think he's ready to face anybody in the top 15. Let's go through the rankings. So at number 15 is Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson has already fought Jared Gordon. He finished him in the 3rd round. Dawson is also undefeated in 8 fights in the UFC. Judging just by these guys' last performances, I think Grant Dawson wins this fight 8 out of 10 times. I think he's a terrible matchup for Paddy. Then we have number 14, Drew Dober. Drew Dober is incredible. I'm so happy to see him back in the rankings. He's got one hell of a left hook and the guy is so durable. Paddy is so susceptible to that left hook, leaves his chin high in the air. Jared Gordon was landing that left hook like it was connected with a fucking magnet. He couldn't miss. I think Dober gives him huge issues on the feet, would likely finish him, but I also do see a scenario where these two have a scuffle, end up on the ground, and Paddy gets a submission. Dober has been submitted a few times. I do think 7 out of 10 times, Drew Dober is going to get the win here. Then we have Renato Moicano. Moicano is a terrible matchup for Paddy. Moicano's got better striking. I'd say the grappling's fairly even. Both guys are very good at their submissions. Paddy's judo throws, I could see giving Moicano a bit of a problem. I think Moicano would light him up on the feet, knock him down, and maybe even get a submission. I'd say 7 out of 10 times Moicano gets the win here. Number 12, Damir Ismagulov. Damir recently retired and then about 2 weeks later came out and said that he wants to fight his last fight in his contract, so not sure what he's doing, but regardless of that, he's a much better striker than Paddy. I think his takedown defense would hold up. Paddy'd be forced to stand with him on the feet, and Damir would just absolutely light him up. I could see this 8 out of 10 times, maybe even 9 out of 10 times. Damir gets the win here against Paddy. Number 11 is Dan Hooker. I can see a world where Dan Hooker actually struggles with Paddy. Hooker has been submitted a few times. I think we've probably seen the best of him. The wars with Paul Felder and Dustin Poirier. I think Dan Hooker's never been the same since then. This could possibly be a way for Paddy to sneak into the rankings. I know Hooker is set to fight Jalin Turner. That fight's just been scrapped. Dan Hooker's just broke his hand like 2 days ago. Paddy's having ankle surgery apparently, so maybe the timeline could match up and these two could fight. Because I'm thinking Hooker wins this 5 or 6 times out of 10. I'd say this would be near a pick'em, just because I think we've seen the best of Dan Hooker. So I think 6 out of 10 times Hooker gets the win here. Then we have the guy that Dan Hooker was supposed to be fighting, Jalin Turner. He's number 10. Jalin Turner is a terrible matchup for Paddy. The guy used to be a welterweight. He's fucking huge. The guy is absolutely gigantic. He's really good at submissions. He's really good on the feet. I could just see Turner really hurting him on the feet and probably getting a submission on the ground. I'm gonna say Jalin Turner would beat Paddy 8 out of 10 times. I'm not confident that Paddy would do well against him at all. Then we have number 9, Arman Tsarukyan, who in my opinion is gonna be a future champion. The guy has no weak areas. Every single different facet of his game is better than Paddy's. He does everything Paddy can do, just a little bit better. Tsarukyan is a good grappler, he's a good striker, he's very intelligent, he's got an unlimited gas tank, he's strong. The guy is just amazing, and I think within the next 3 or 4 years, he's definitely gonna be a champion. I think Arman Tsarukyan beats Paddy 9 out of 10 times. Number 8 is Rafael Dos Anjos. Now, if this was RDA from 10 years ago, I'd say he beats Paddy 8 or 9 times out of 10. but we've definitely seen the best of RDA. He's going to be doing most of his work in the welterweight division going forward. He just wants fun fights, but I do think this would still be a difficult fight for Paddy. I'd say 6 out of 10 times RDA gets the win, but this is another one where they could maybe sneak Paddy into the rankings with a fight that's a little bit more winnable compared to the other guys that are ranked. Then we have number 7, Mateusz Gamrot. I think Gamrot is fantastic. He's another one who has no weak areas. One of these new school mixed martial artists that are just good everywhere. Really good gas tank, really good fight IQ with striking, grappling, jiu-jitsu, takedown defense. He's just good everywhere. I could see him absolutely smothering Paddy, draining his gas tank, and winning this fight 8 or 9 times out of 10. Then we have number 6, Rafael Fiziev. I can see Fiziev just knocking Paddy out on the feet. Paddy having his chin in the air like he does, saying that he's not going to change it. He's not going to last long at all with a talented striker like Fiziev. Fiziev's got good takedown defense, good fight IQ. I could just see him beating the shit out of Paddy 9 times out of 10, just really hurting him on the feet and just knocking him the fuck out. Then we have number 5, Michael Chandler. Now, Chandler's got a bit of a questionable chin at times, and he's just been submitted by Dustin Poirier. I can see a world where Chandler goes out there, does not use an intelligent game plan because he never does. Paddy hurting him on the feet, landing a sneaky high kick or something, and Chandler even be finished on the ground with strikes, or Paddy choke him out. I do think Chandler more often than not would finish him, but Chandler's a bit of a wild card. You don't know what kind of Chandler you're gonna get. You know you're getting an exciting fight, but how intelligently is he gonna fight? I think 6 or 7 times out of 10, Chandler would win the fight. But again, this is the third guy who could be a really sneaky one for Paddy to sneak into the rankings. Moving on to number 4, Benil Dariush. Terrible matchup. Benil is fucking amazing. He's so good everywhere. He just proved that at UFC 280 against Gamrot. He was the underdog in that fight. Even I was convinced that Gamrot was going to go out there and win. Benil was just better everywhere. He stuffed all the takedowns. He landed really, really big strikes. And he just had an amazing performance and showed everyone he deserves to be in the top 15, and this man deserves a title shot. A fight has just been finalized for him and Charles Oliveira, and I can't wait. It's going to be absolute fireworks. I could see Benil beating Paddy 8 or 9 times out of 10. He's a terrible, terrible stylistic matchup for him. Then we have number 3, Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, I think we've likely seen the best of him. He's been in an awful, awful lot of wars. He takes an ungodly amount of damage in every fucking fight he's in. His leg kicks are so brutal. I could see him really compromising Paddy's movement, slowing him down and getting a finish. I can also see a world where Gaethje just overexerts himself. Paddy ends up getting him on the ground and ends up submitting him. Gaethje has been submitted a few times. It's the older guys that have been in the division a little bit longer that I can see Paddy. I can see a world where Paddy wins against them. Dan Hooker, all right. Michael Chandler, okay. Justin Gaethje. These guys that are a little bit older, I could see a world where Paddy gets a sneaky win there and gets his way into the top 15. But I'm gonna say Justin Gaethje beats him still 6 or 7 times out of 10. Then we have number 2, Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is a terrible matchup for Paddy. Poirier's great everywhere, amazing boxing, great fight IQ, cardio for days, good jiu-jitsu, his takedown defense is great. He's just really fucking good everywhere. I can see Dustin going out there, laying it on him thick, pulling his shorts up, fixing his hair. You know shit is getting real. If you see Dustin Poirier land a big strike and then fix his shorts, that person is just about to be fucking murdered. I can see Poirier finishing Paddy 7 or 8 times out of 10. Dustin has been choked out a few times. Paddy is a really good rear naked. I could see a world where Paddy gets a sneaky submission, but 7 or 8 times out of 10, Poirier is going to land huge shots. I can see him finishing Paddy. Then we have number 1, Charles Oliveira, the former lightweight champion, the guy with the most finishes in UFC history. I can see a world where Paddy finishes Oliveira. Charles gets dropped in every fight that he's in. I could see Paddy landing a big punch or a big kick, dropping him, and then finishing him on the ground with strikes. I can also see a lot of situations where Paddy hurts him and drops him, follows him to the ground, and then Charles submits him like he usually does to people. Because of Charles' chin being a little bit questionable, him getting dropped in all of his fights, I can see a world where Paddy does win this. I'm gonna say 8 times out of 10, Charles Oliveira would finish Paddy Pimblett. Then we have our lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. Islam is just a terrible matchup for Paddy. He's amazing everywhere. His wrestling goes without even saying how good his wrestling is, his fight IQ, his strength. The guy is such a big lightweight. He struggles to make lightweight. Paddy used to fight at featherweight. Islam will probably soon move up to fucking welterweight. I think 9 times out of 10, Islam just does whatever he wants to Paddy. I can see the skill gap here, honestly being close to like Nate Diaz versus Hamzat. That's how much of a fucking disparity in the skill there is here. Islam is just that much better. Islam doesn't take any days off. Paddy's camps are just fat camps at this stage. It's gonna take a fucking horrific knockout for him to change things. He's winning, things are going well, he's making millions, he's more famous than he's ever been. In all 4 of his fights, the same guy has shown up. He's been hit with the same big left hooks. His punches are very, very Juliana Pena-esque, very just throws them out there. Paddy's striking, he's just not a talented striker at all, because he's been striking for over 10 years at least, and it's still very awkward. It still has his chin so high in the air. He just needs to make some really, really big changes, and he's gonna be amazing. What's next for Paddy? I would say the rematch of Jared Gordon. Jared is set to take on Bobby Green. Paddy said he needs to have some ankle surgery and he won't be back till the end of the year. So I could see the UFC maybe giving him the fucking corpse of Tony Ferguson. Just a big fan favorite. Tony's still got name value. I think it's either gonna be someone in the top 15, maybe a Dan Hooker. Dan's broke his hand's in a cast. Paddy needs this ankle surgery. The timing might add up. There's so many other fighters, but it's just finding someone with the name value. There'd be no point in Paddy fighting like Yoel Alvarez and Ignacio Bahamondes. One of these fighters that are really dangerous, but not really very well known. There's no positives there for Paddy at all. Where do you see Paddy Pimblett's career going from here? Who would you like to see him fight next? Comment down below, let me know, and please subscribe if you enjoy MMA content. Thank you so much.